Hey folks, Triple Crown here, coming to you from Vancouver, British Columbia. This is a game summary of Operation Dark Winter, just a few highlights or things that were discovered or changed during the playtest. First one is start out by talking about what happens. I actually made a mistake when talking about the Vichy territory. So when Paris is liberated, for example, and so I made a mistake here. So in this territory, French Indochina, there are 3 Japanese units and no Vichy units. So that means in that scenario, this territory becomes Japanese. So just to point that out, so there would be a Japanese roundel that would be placed in French Indochina. On the next turn, that would become Japanese. However, if there was let's just imagine there was a Vichy unit there, well then it would remain Vichy, and Japan would still collect for the territory. But that's how that works. Anyways, just to clarify that point there. Something else, and I think this kind of makes sense because we've seen it occur now in a couple play tests, and that's on turn 1 when the British have a transport down here and they load 2 infantry on the transport and they go 1, 2. Can they do that? Yes. They can do that. Yeah, and they go up to C-Zone 40. And from C-Zone 40, they can unload 1 unit in Greece and 1 unit in Yugoslavia, so they can annex both on the same turn. And we felt that this would basically force Germany and Italy to be fighting for Yugoslavia and Greece on turn. Basically, they'd have to do it turn 1 and turn 2. And if they don't, you could see what happens when Britain, is going to inherit 6 or 7 units over here and another 4 units in Greece. And then on their turn 2, they are going to be attacking Bulgaria, which fairly devastating for the Axis powers. So we've now changed the rule so that the Allies, they can still annex Greece on turn 1. However, they can only annex Yugoslavia on turn 2. So that should allow, like in the current game we just played, Italy and Germany, if they want to go do something else, like head off to Gibraltar or maybe go into Marseille or just other things. Maybe they want to come down here and they want to hit Tobruk, or maybe they want to go over here and do Syria or Transjordan or Crete or Corinth or just other things that Italy might want to do on turn 1. We want to give the Axis player as many options as possible. So what we don't want the sort of a scripted turn 1. So that's what happened there. Also, Captain G over here, Germany was set up over here with Italy and Germany, and they went and they did a landing over here in Canada. So, and that was basically there's no rule at that point to help the United States or encourage the United States to join the war. So the United States has to currently get up to 80 IPP to join the war, and there's certain things that happen along the way. For example, when the Axis powers capture, I believe it's Paris, they get an extra 5 PP bonus for the Americans, and when they declare war on Russia, there's 10. So also when the Axis declare war on, I believe it's, let me pull this up. But basically now, if the Axis basically do a landing in North America like Quebec or Newfoundland or Nova Scotia, that's going to add a 20 IPP towards the United States economy for declaring war. So just to point that out. Sorry, I should have had this all ready to go. My laptop was ready to go and it just locked itself. But in terms of updates in the rules, just to show you now what we've got going on here. So all the highlights or updates or any changes to the rules as they currently stand, they're now sort of bolded in red so you're able to find them easily. And I will find the United States. Sorry, folks. Oh my goodness, of course I can't find it now. Here we go. So, this is regards to pre-war income for the United States. So, if Germany and Italy performs an amphibious attack against Great Britain, London, Liverpool, and/or Scotland, or Canada, Newfoundland, or Labrador, it's a plus 20 for the United States. So that's also what's been changed, which kind of makes sense. Like, there's absolutely no way that if Germany and Italy were amassing their forces here in Quebec and capturing Ottawa, that the Americans would just sit idly by in that scenario. So we'd never seen it in playtesting before, and so now that it's happened, it's pretty obvious. Something else, and this could only occur in a few territories on the map, and that is where different nations are. Let's just look at this C-zone here. C-zone 20, where the Germans have a major factory here in Western Germany, and they can build naval units here, and so can the Allies, and the Allies can also, or the British can also build naval units here. So imagine a scenario where the Allies are all loaded up here, ready to go attack or load their transports on a following turn, and the Germans, they decide to build a surface warship in this C-zone at their factory in Western Germany. Now that makes a hostile C-zone, which means the British cannot load transports in that C-zone. Now, we had a big discussion about this, and there's lots of complications if we're to sort of negate that from happening. Gargantua, our sort of Appellate rules ambassador, weighed in, and we're going to leave it as is for now. So just to point that out, we did also discuss different scenarios of the Vichy and French when Paris is liberated, but that's going to also remain as is. In terms of any other changes, I've added a few cavalry units to. I've swapped out infantry units and added cavalry just to get more cavalry into the game. So now on the starting setup, Italy's going to have a cavalry in Turn and in Rome. And the Russians are going to have a couple cavalry starting in Belarusia, which is going to give them maybe an option or two more what they want to do on their turn one. And just a sort of summary of the game. Now, Captain G, in terms of never doing a grand strategy or this grand strategy he's done before, but also the first time he's done it, give him kudos. He certainly had the Hilltop Pillbox and myself scrambling and reeling, and how are we going to defend this? And that was to attack San Francisco and simultaneously threaten the Sea Lion or threaten Canada or also threaten Washington. And that was one heck of a strategy. And I think if he had done it a few more times, because whenever you do these strategies, you get better at them. Each time you do them, more efficient. And he might have been able to pull it off. So what's going to happen in the future? Well, we are all a little bit tired and fatigued, so everyone's going to be sort of taking a break. But I do have planned, and CB's Bill has been asking me this, to do a play test or another game where the San Francisco strategy is in combination with the Germans, and the Germans are going to be, targeting London, and the Japanese are going to be targeting San Francisco. But these scenarios are almost impossible to play out when you know what the other side is doing. A scenario where anytime you're threatening sea lion, it works best, or really only works, when it's sort of a surprise and the Allies get a little bit cocky and maybe they don't build in London, maybe they don't build in San Francisco, and then by the time they realize it's happening, it's too late. And it also works best as the German player or the Japanese player when you give yourself options. So a common strategy is, for Germany to maybe save a little bit of money turn 1 or turn 2 and sort of keep some of their units back over here in Western Europe. So all of a sudden, it's a surprise when you plop down a bunch of transports. And obviously, Germany would need to have a surface navy. And then all of a sudden, sea lions on the table. And similar to the Japanese, where, Captain G kind of disguised it a little bit. He had his navy down here, and they sort of came across more the southern route and up to San Francisco. So a little bit of I liked it, a little bit of a trick there. But you kind of want to give yourself options, because maybe, in a certain game, maybe you're going to threaten sea lion or save your build on turn 1 or turn 2 and have some units in Western Europe, or have your Japanese navy here. And maybe, the Allied player is on to your strategy, and so they're going to bulk up heavy in London and bulk up heavy in San Francisco. And then all of a sudden you decide to go the alternate way. So sometimes a fake sea lion or a fake San Francisco, call it the San Francisco crush or whatever you want to call it, is just as effective as doing it, because you're forcing Allied resources in that direction to now defend it. So, you're definitely going to be preventing America from sending Lend-Lease over here to the KMT. And you're definitely going to be stopping the British from building over here in Africa. So maybe a play here to, take Cairo for the Italians is exactly for the Germans to be threatening a sea lion. So just food for thought. And anyways, folks, there will be a version 8.1 rules released from HBG for free as a free download coming soon, sort of a rules update or rules edit. And anyways, folks, thanks for watching and stay tuned.